All right, guys, if you want better chord progressions and really make your songs super animated, try the simple technique. It's really, really simple. All you need to understand is that you have two main chords, the tonic chord and the dominant chord. When you understand this concept, you'll open up so many avenues. So for example, let's play D minor 9. Okay, so D is the root note, and if you count up 7 notes from D, you get what's called the perfect fifth. So let's go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gives you A. Okay, so as long as you understand the tonic, which is the root note, and then the perfect fifth, which is 7 notes away, you can't mess this up. So the tonic can play any chord type. In this case, let's just play a minor ninth. We could even do a major. There's no one chord type. Okay, so we're just doing different chords. In this case, let's just do a minor chord. And what I'm going to show you is a special chord for R&B called a dominant ninth chord, but it's an altered chord. Okay, so I don't have time to explain everything about everything about everything. If you want the everything about everything about everything, go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory and go to our site busyworksbeats.com/premium to look for music theory essentials, where I cover all this stuff in depth. Okay, so here we have D minor. Now let's create what's called the dominant chord. This is technically an altered dominant chord. Okay, so we're playing this from the fifth. Okay, so let's simplify it. What music wants to do is go from the dominant chord back to the tonic chord because of the tension it creates. Okay, so you don't even have to go to the parallel keys or to the relative minor and relative major. You can literally just jump from key to key. So for example, here's the fifth, tonic. Okay, let's do a different fifth. Here's the fifth, tonic, just like that. Okay, so we're moving from fifth, tonic, fifth, tonic. Now, in this specific chord voicing, this altered chord, this doesn't always work with different chord types. Like for example, it works well with minor chords that you're about to land towards. So A to D is the tonic. But if I made this tonic chord a major chord, it doesn't have the same vibe. So I think minor tends to be a better resolution for that specific chord voicing. Now, again, this sounds convoluted, but when you get to it, it's two chords. It's the dominant chord and the tonic chord. Let's try different chords. So let's try G flat. This is a dominant altered chord. I didn't think that one out. Okay, what chord is this even? Okay, I added some weird voicing. Okay, it's not even a chord. Now, another turnaround chord is a minor sixth chord. So this is a really good chord. But really, if you look at it, the only difference is that we're playing F. And if I switch this to E, you get that dominant altered chord. So it's pretty much the same chord. It's just a different root note. So minor six is going to give you a similar vibe. Okay, so again, it's all about finding that dominant chord and resolving it to tonic. Let's try a new chord. Let's try this one. So let's say we started out in G flat. 7 notes up from here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gives you D flat. Okay, and this wants to go right back to G flat. Now, let's alter this chord. I'm trying not to get into the weeds of everything. A minor chord, a minor ninth chord in this case, is 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. That's the chord code. So if you started the root note, count up your keyboard note by note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That always creates the minor ninth chord. Now the dominant altered chord is 0, 4, 7, 10, 14, but we're going to do a sharp fifth and a sharp ninth. So let's restructure this chord basically. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is technically the dominant ninth. And I teach all this stuff in my chord codes course at busyworksbeats.com. All right, now what we're going to do though is sharpen the fifth, which is this note, and the ninth. These tend to work in the same direction most of the time. So these want to move in the same direction. So let's just pull this up one semitone, one half step. Okay, now this wants to go resolve to the tonic. So this is the fifth. So just count down 7 notes and play whatever chord that is. Let's do it up an octave. See how that works? Dominant, tonic, dominant, tonic. That's really the only 2 chords that you need to understand. I can get really deep with this stuff to show you guys how basically a chord progression is really I think it's 2 chords create a chord progression. And if you look at a scale, it's really just 2 chords. If you really break it all the way down, it's based on 2 chords and harmony. If you break down melody, it's based on harmony, chords. Everything comes back down to chords, okay? And if you break down a scale, like I said, even a chord progression itself, it's really just 2 chords. And when you understand the power of just 2 chords, you can really get into anything else. So let's try that one more time. Boom. And we just freestyled that in this video. I didn't practice that beforehand. So I just wanted to give you guys the power of understanding how important the dominant chord is to the tonic chord. Now, you don't have to voice it the way I did, which is this sharp 5, sharp 9. We can voice it down, but it's a little more jazz-esque when you voice it this way. Now, in jazz, they tend to, it's called revoice chords very differently than we do. And a simple formula we could try is basically playing the root and the ninth in the bass tones. Let's make this less convoluted. We could just raise the third, okay? So take this note, D flat, and just add this up. This is usually how stuff is played. And if it needs more space, we could take this G and pull it down. That's a little close to A. So in this case, I'd probably play it like this. And where does A want to go? A is the 5th of D. Now, understanding voicing, that's going to take muscle memory because you have to basically retrain your brain on how to play a chord. But here's a newer technique I'm really enjoying and it's simple. You just pick a root note. Okay, so in this case, G flat. We're going to count up 14 from here, which is the 5th of a 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And once you have those 2, you can play a major chord on top, starting just above what's called the ninth, and just play a major chord here. So it's less thinking and more shapes. And you can add the 5th in the bass by just adding 7 notes up from the root. Now, if you want to create a chord change, we're going to drop all these 3 notes plus the 3rd down 1. And I found that voicing really, 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 really good to give it that jazzy, emotional sound. So chord voicing is the thing that gives life to a chord. It's not necessarily just the chord type. Sometimes it's the way you play the chord. So Pharrell and them might play the root down here to activate the Rhodes keys a little bit harder. Let me switch sounds to a Rhodes. So if you're the Neptunes, you could play it this way. But that's, they're dropping it down an octave so they have that bitey bass. It's hard to play though. You really gotta stretch your hand. So that's and again, you're gonna have to get muscle memory because you have to play 4 notes with your right hand, not just 3. So these are all just little things that add up to the greater thing. And the main concept I want to show you guys is just that you need to focus on the dominant chord to tonic. So let's try this in a different key. Let's use D minor just because it's easy. It's all the white notes here, starting from D. What is the 5th of D? Let's count up 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We're going to use that chord structure we showed you, which is 0, 4, 7, 10, 14, and then with a raised 5th and raised 9th. And now if you want to create in between chords, this is where, again, I don't teach in scales because I feel like scales lock you into a specific sound. They do give you definitive answers, but thing is, like the people you guys love, they went out of the scale a lot, okay? So if you're always focused on the scale, you're gonna miss a lot of what we actually love in music. So here we have the dominant chord. Now let's work our way back to the tonic. So we could do, man, there's so much to teach here. There's another concept called a tritone substitution. We're getting really into the weeds as I'm thinking about it. Okay, so we could take this chord and we could pull it down 6 semitones, and that's called a tritone substitution. So let's count from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's just a half step above D. Now we need to reconfigure that chord, however, the 0, 4, 7, 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So here's the normal voicing for a ninth, but again, we need to raise the fifth and the ninth. So it gives us this tone. And now we can go from A to this to D. So this, I gotta learn this structure here. So really my right hand is playing off of B and then my left hand is playing E flat and G. So let's try that. And then we could do here. Now this, so my ear wants to hear like this at the end of something and not necessarily resolving to it, but my ear likes to hear A resolve into D. Like that. So hopefully I'm making sense here. See how that adds that tension at the end? This is something to end with. Let's go up an octave. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys little variations you could throw on here instead of overcomplicating things. Now, it is a little complicated to set up. I wouldn't say this is the greatest use case of it. Normally, I would play something like this. So I'm walking down. That's usually when I use that tritone substitution for the 2-5-1. Rarely do I go 1-5. Like I don't normally jump that far away. So let's see if we could. Now, personally, I would like to revoice this chord. Let me switch to a grand piano sound. So for my ear, it's because we were landing on D minor and not D major. This is where I said it gets into the creative side and less the technical. So here I'm just playing chords. Let's play E minor. Then let's do that tritone substitution. So let's start over here. And then instead of D minor, let's play D major. That's a little more settling than D minor, in my opinion. It's just a different vibe when you switch to minor. So I think that's what my ear wants to hear. We can get into the weeds though. But so I'll leave it here. I don't want to overly explain and dig too deep into different things, but that is the sound I'm using 99% of the time is the dominant chord to the tonic chord, just like that. So I want you guys to try that out. I teach this in way more depth and much more step-by-step process. Here I had to speed through a lot of concepts. But go to busyworksbeats.com/premium to start your, I think we have a 14-day free trial. Yeah, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Peace out, guys.